Phenomenal. The guy went through capture pages, his actual OTO funnel. Guys, I generated a lot of leads. My team's done like 1.5 million leads over the last couple of years, and I go to him for traffic, and this was, I mean, one tactic, one trick that he showed on OTOs is going to make my business over 100 grand in revenue per month. And I cannot wait. Daegan, I owe you so much. Beers are on me next week, and I got you, buddy.
The information that Daegan gave you here is something that you're not going to find online. You're not going to find it on a DVD, and this is not regurgitated information. You're talking about someone who gets in upwards of over 4 figures in leads a day. That would be called a day, not a month, not a week, not a year. So if you could just become 10% that good, that's about, I don't know, 200 leads a day. Could you use that? Well, sure you could.
If you missed this one, this is the first one, do not miss the next one. Your business cannot afford it. Traffic, this guy's the king.
Guys, welcome. Those who were tardy will individually be sent to one of the corners to stare at the corner until they understand what they have done wrong, and then we will have mercy on them. But no, really, guys, like I said, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share these next couple of days with you. As we went through a couple stories here and talking to people last night, this is long overdue. We should have done something like this a long time ago. I have a very special place in my heart for events. When I go to events, and I'll tell you guys some stories about events in just a couple of minutes, those are always the time that magic happens in my business, whether it's, I mean, there's so many things I could go through, and I will go through them in just a minute. So I think that there will definitely be a lot more stories like Lawrence's that come from this next couple of days. Like I said, the one thing that I want you guys to do is play all out. If you have a question at any point in time, I'd rather have you raise your hand, punch me in the face, say, Daegan, answer my question, then forget it. Because you came here for some reason. You have some question you want to answer, something that isn't as clear as you'd like it to be. And if you don't get that, man, we failed. So I want to hold you guys to that commitment on my end, on your end. And my end, like I said, is I just want to turn you guys into marketing ninjas. I want to teach you guys how to think about this stuff at a really high level. And you guys are going to be spoiled. I mean, I've been to, I don't know how many seminars, but let's say 20 to 30, right, that I've paid my own good money to go to. And what's going to come out of this is going to spoil you guys to all those other events. So what that means is I'm going to be working really hard for you. Okay? So, yeah. So I got my notes and stuff up there. The reason I think this is going to be special is because I've been around this industry, this home business sort of industry, for a long time. And I've seen a lot of people succeed. And really, it just takes speaking to the right person and getting the right question answered for something to click and for you to be on your way to a new life, something exciting, and have that new vigor to go out into the world and change it with. And just as I think back to some of the stories, I told you guys about Jonathan Butt, so I'll start there. Back in 2004, 2005, young Jonathan was probably maybe 22, a year older than I think Matt. 21. I'm getting pretty good with the names, good. I talked to this kid on the phone. He's just getting started. He's living in his parents' basement, and he says, I own a system called Power Prospecting System at that time. And he's making a few sales, a few affiliate sales here and there, and he says, Daegan, when do I get to create my own product? When do I get to step up my game? And I laughed. I was like, ha. And the reason I laughed was because maybe 6 months prior, I was at an event called the Underground Online Seminar. And at that event, I met a guy, and I ended up giving him $10,000 to go and have a day of consulting. And I asked that guy, and I'll tell you more about that story in a couple minutes, when do I get to create my first high-ticket product? Almost the exact same question, right? And because I had been at an event, and I had spent some good money to get that question answered for myself, I was able to provide that value for John. And the answer is, what do you guys think the answer is? Right now. Exactly. This is the business of self-appointment. So I kick myself in the ass right now because I should have done this a long time ago. It's not anyone else's fault than my own. But that's all it took is for me to say, John, whenever you want, man, no one's going to appoint you. 2 weeks later, he had his first product. He had his first offer out there. Within about 2 years, he caught up to me, and then like he just had 1 year where he just blew it out of the park, was doing $1 million launches one after the other, and you know, that's all she wrote. Doesn't take long to blow up. Doesn't take long to change your life if you know what to do and you have a clear purpose. So I've seen stories like John, and the cool thing is, I mean, Lawrence, it's really awesome to hear his story. Mark Hall in the back told me about he just closed on a house and bought a new car for his wife because of all this crazy marketing stuff and being in this world. And you know, just being able to help people and do those sorts of things is really exciting for me. So I can't wait to see what stories come from our time together here. Last week, so I'll give you two more quick little success stories, because I don't know how it happens, but sometimes when I talk to people, things change for them. And so I've never done 2 full days with this many people, so that's why I'm excited to see what this little experiment creates. But one of the people that I've done a lot of consults with is a young kid named Matt Lloyd. Maybe he's paid me $800 for a couple-hour consult like 8 times now. Just last night or the night before, he sends me this message on Facebook. He's like, Daegan, I just hit my first $21,000 a week. And you know, that's what's supposed to happen. You talk to someone that's been doing it for a while, spend a good amount of money and point you in the right direction. That's what's supposed to happen, right? Right after Brian's event, we have some really cool people in the room here, by the way. So everyone here is cool, but Brian in the back is my buddy. We go out on the town in DC sometimes, and he's one of the co-founders of My Lead System Pro. At their event, Live the Dream, a couple weeks ago, one of their speakers, Ryan Angelo, and me and he spoke after the event. We got on the phone for a couple hours. I helped him fix up his offer a little bit, and like a week later, he comes back to me and he says, Daegan, man, I just did this $20,000 webinar, and then the next week he did an $8,000 one, and then he did like a $14,000 one. And so it's just a few little questions. That's the point I'm trying to drive home here. Is like, there's probably just 1 or 2 little things that you need to get out of me to create that sort of a spark. So that's on you to do it. So can I get your commitment on that? Oh, yeah. No, I want stronger than that. Yes. All right, there we go. Cool. All right. So we got our spoiled. So I got my notepad. Let me show you guys this, by the way. One thing that people ask me a lot is, how do you keep yourself organized, right? So you'd think that the guy that has the $1 million business has some like crazy ability to organize himself better than what you would think a regular person would. Literally, this is how I organize my business. Every day, I write a little checklist of what I want to get done, and then I check some of the stuff off. If it doesn't get done, it gets moved to the next day. Organization done. Helpful? You don't have to be some sort of genius to do this stuff. So, yeah, with that done, let's keep moving. Expectations. Cool, very good. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to draw some cool pictures. Maximum leverage. That's what this is all about. There's a guy named Archimedes. Archimedes had a quote. Who knows what Archimedes' quote was? Well, you can't do it.
Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum to put it on, I can move the world.
Awesome. Very good. I'll give you, get a high five. You can have a high five. Come on, stand up. Well, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum, and I can move the world. Well, what I believe is if I can give you guys enough leverage, you don't have to move the world, but you can change your own world to whatever you want. But we need those 2 pieces. We need a lever, and we need a fulcrum. And those are the 2 pieces I'm going to be working on with you guys today. So let me draw it out here so this can become visual and make a little bit more sense. So that doesn't matter. I'm not very good at drawing pictures of the world, but we'll pretend I am. Okay? All right. So we have the world, we have a fulcrum, we have a lever. So all we need to do is put enough weight on this side and build the right sort of a fulcrum, and we can change our lives. And as far as I'm concerned, in my experience over the last 7 years, there's really only 5 things that you need to set this up to work right. So let me draw this for you. So we need, I'll move. Thank you for that. I'll move in a minute. I got to learn too, right? Okay. So we're going to look at this in 3D, right? Our fulcrum looks like a pyramid. Well, a pyramid's pretty stable, right? You said it's a pretty stable structure. If you have you can't really push over a pyramid. It's not going to fall over. It's probably a good thing to make the basis of our business. All we need to do is figure out what the 5 points are. So the 5 points that are important for us are, number 1, mindset. And so we're going to call mindset a little exclamation point. Number 2, a hot offer, like Lawrence talked about. And so as I go through and I show you guys different things, a hot offer is going to look like a little coin. Next thing we need is what's called, and I'll move so you guys can see it over there. And after I finish it, we need to have a funnel. So, and I'll explain what these mean. Let me just draw it out first. We need to have our TV show. And we need to have traffic, okay? If we have these 5 things, if we have the right idea, if we have the right mindset, and that's the most important thing, right? Like, if this point right here isn't solid, if that's weak, what's gonna happen? You're not gonna move anything, right? So that's the most important thing. But if we got the mindset, let me move. If we got the mindset, we got an offer, we build a funnel around that offer. Once we bring people to the offer, we entertain them. And then we turn up the traffic knob. You want to know why this is a ring? What this? You probably is that what you guys thought this was? Do you think that was a ring, by the way? You can't see it because it's too small probably for you guys in the back. It's a ring because the most common question that I get asked is, Daegan, please, Daegan, show me the one way to get traffic for the cheapest that's going to make me the most amount of money without doing anything. So it's like, it reminds me of watching Lord of the Rings, and he's like, the one ring to rule them all. And that's what people want. Well, you're going to get it. It's not what you think, but you're going to get it. And you guys are going to walk away with like the 99.9 percentile of understanding of what traffic is all about. And that's what I know is on a lot of people's minds. But we got to have all these things. Because if we don't have this point, we don't have a fulcrum. If we don't have that point, we need them all. We got to have them in a specific order. So what I'm going to do over the next couple of days is, well, actually, let's draw it this way first. And we'll just pretend that we have enough space up here. Let's draw that one in half. So we have the mindset, right? We have our little coin. We have our pot of gold. We have our TV show. And we have the one ring to rule them all. We have enough weight. And this is getting a little bit messy, so I apologize, guys. If we have enough weight, we're going to push that down, and then you control your world. That's my plan for you guys. Does that make sense? Yep. Are there any insights there? Anything you guys are getting here just from me kind of? It took me a long time to come up with this freaking picture. You don't understand.
I feel
Good. And so let me give you like a timeline. So this is the what, right? That's what. So we need to talk about when. I went through when. When looks a little bit more like this. Person has an idea, right? Then we turn that idea into a little piece of gold. And we turn that little piece of gold into a pot of gold. Turn that pot of gold into, and this is kind of cool, let's imagine that we have some clouds, and this is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's raining pots of gold, right? All the way through. So idea, mindset, do a couple things, we create an offer, we make a little money. Do a couple things, we make a lot more money from that same exact transaction. Do a couple things, and then the money starts raining to us every day. The final thing is we add a lot of traffic, right? The little ring. And this goes from a week to a year. So you guys can't see, and this probably isn't the best sort of a look. Can you guys see this? You guys are good? Okay, cool. That's the sequence of events. All right, does that help anyone yet? Does that help you guys understand how this goes down? I see too many people that want to start with the traffic, where are we, down here, and not even care about the right idea or creating an offer that matters or works or people want. They just want traffic that turns into magical money. We have to go through this process for any of this to work. And so that's the process that we're going to walk through. So that's when. Yes.
When you say going from a week to a year, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So let me move out so you guys can see. If we are entertaining our folks, we'll make money on a more consistent basis, because if we're entertaining people, and let's say I have one customer, you're my only customer, but I keep writing you emails, I keep calling you on the phone, and I keep saying, hey man, I got something else, and you like me. You're gonna buy some again, right? Right. So I'm turning one sale into multiple sales. If we had a lot of traffic from a lot of different sources, I'm turning you into all of y'all. And so that's when we create a lot of stability. That's when we create $1 million business. Good question. See? Ask those questions. Good, good, good. So now we just want to go through the how, and then I'm going to talk to you about seminars for a little bit. Actually, let me go ahead and put that thing over there. Let's talk about how. Okay. So how is going to be this is how y'all will know that I'm a magician. If I can get you to believe what I'm about to show you. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How am I doing on my drawing, by the way? You guys enjoying this? All right. If I can get you guys to believe what I'm about to tell you, then that means I'm a master persuader. And you guys will understand things at a very high level, but that doesn't matter. I just want to make sure. All right, let's see here. Okay. All right. So what we want to do is we want to take one little idea, and what this represents right here, this is how we're going to get there, is this represents traffic. So this octopus with 8 legs and 8 rings, there's no one ring, there's many, many rings. So if we create a lot of traffic from the right sort of desire, and when we walk people down the right story path, that'll lead us to our pot of gold. So if I can get you from here and this actually makes sense by tomorrow night, then I've done a good job. You guys down for that challenge? Yeah. Because I think it's silly, but we'll see if it works. Let's see if it works. All right. Cool. All right. So let me tell you guys a couple things about events. in terms of, how many of you guys have actually heard my story? Who here knows where I came from? Who's brand new, doesn't know anything about me? Okay, raise your hand. Brand new, cool. So if you guys will indulge me, I'm gonna tell everyone that's brand new a little bit about me, and share sort of my story from a different perspective as it correlates to doing events and things like this. If we want to start today, man, life is great. I mean, I lived in Maui last year, came back home. I asked young Kim, wherever she is, to get married to me. Now she's my betrothed. There she is. She's out there. She's looking all nice, checking people in and all that stuff. Last 3 or 4 months, I took the business from, I grew it by an extra $80,000 or so per month, and next month we're going to double or triple what we're doing. And I'm just having the time of my life. I mean, right now is absolutely awesome. But that's not how things started for me. I mean, I started as a guy in a job that I didn't like. And the interesting thing for me is, as I look back, we're sitting in a seminar room right now. We're going to have a lot of fun. As I look back over my history, a lot of my most profound insights were had in rooms just like this. I can remember my very first instance. I was not happy in my job. I remember I woke up, and have you guys ever been in that situation where you're just kind of like going through the motions, and then something finally wakes you up? I remember I was getting up, the alarm was ringing, I was like hitting the buzzer. Oh, I don't want to get up, man, this sucks. Get up, wipe the sleep out of your eyes, I go to the shower, and I'm in there just like a zombie doing the same routine I'd done every day. And then I feel like my heart start to like pound out of my chest, like get real short of breath. And I just feel this intense feeling of fear. And it's because the vision that came into my mind was, man, you've been doing this for 8 months, a year. If you keep doing this, what's your life gonna look like 10 years from now? And what my mind sent back to me was, it's gonna look just like this. So you're gonna be a little bit more cynical. Maybe you might have 2 more days of the week off, and you're gonna be highly unfulfilled. And it freaked the shit out of me, man. It's not the life I wanted to live. It's not what I saw as me. And I don't know how it's just amazing how this stuff works, because I don't know how I got into that first seminar room other than I was watching infomercials late at night, and I saw an infomercial for some real estate seminar. And I feel embarrassed, but I call and I register, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I show up to this event, and it's like, maybe this size, maybe like 40 more people, maybe slightly bigger than this. And I'm like, I don't want anyone to see me. We're in Bethesda. Bethesda's like 30 minutes from here. I'm like, I hope no one that I know sees me here, man. And I sit way in the back, because I feel like I'm amongst all these like desperate people. Like, who goes to these things? That's what who's going to these freaking things? And there I was in the back of one of these things, and I remember I actually saw my old English school teacher, my old English teacher from high school, and I was like, oh man, I didn't know he was desperate too, I know it was like that, So, but I averted my eyes. He didn't see me. At least I don't think. It didn't feel like he saw me through the presentation, so I was safe. But I remember the guy up on stage, man. That guy he was magical. He was telling these stories, and I kid you guys not. At the end of his presentation, had to be 40, 50, maybe even 60 people got up out of their seats, handed this guy $1,000 for something that I was like, it didn't appeal to me at all. And that was extremely powerful as a lesson for me in a seminar room, because I felt like I didn't have much opportunity. And here this guy was talking for an hour. He just made $60,000. Leverage, right? There's a lot of leverage in seminars. Well, the next thing that happened at that very first seminar was this other guy, this little short, fat, bald guy, got up on stage and started to talk about the internet. And have you ever had one of those moments where like your ears just kind of like, your eyes focus in, like everything else disappears, just you and what that person's talking about. That's it. This guy was there, he was talking about the internet, and he was putting all this crazy stuff. He was talking about regular people making money. And I remember vividly, and I will remember this for the rest of my life, he put this picture up on the screen, just like this one. He said, he was talking about the internet. He said, you see this website right here? And it was literally like a picture of a horse and like a link under it. That's it. It was like, this website right here makes me $1,500 a month. And if I can do it, and sweat was like falling down his brow. Everybody here can do it. And you know, call me stupid, I believed him. So there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of magic in seminars. Because if it hadn't been for me walking into that room feeling embarrassed, feeling like I was desperate and I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and sticking around long enough to hear someone that said the right thing that would change me, I wouldn't be here right now, you know? So seminars are absolutely magic. There's more opportunity than you ever see. That was the first seminar. The second seminar that I went to, I was in my own home business. Now at this point, I'd figured a few things out. I was probably making about the same amount of money that I was at my job. And I remember the owner of that company asked me to come and speak at that seminar. And so I was like, oh man, I've never done that before. And I'd figured a few things out, had my business going online, and I went to this event. He put me up on stage. You guys got to understand, if in college we had some sort of an oral exam, like you had to get up and do some sort of presentation, that was the day that I was definitely sick. I was not going. I was not showing up, right? And I would take the B-. I would take, well, you know, whatever. I'm not showing up. I'm not getting in front of people and saying nothing. I'm not going to do that. And so, but I go to this seminar where I meet all these great people that are thinking the way that I think, doing the same sort of things I'm doing. And I remember Matt Morris is a guy that owned this company. Was like, he didn't give me any sort of instructions. He just said, go up there, you'll do great. I was freaking out, like, oh man, I don't know. And so I get up on stage and I'm like scared for like the first 15 minutes. And I mean, then the time just flies. It was gone. And that presentation, if it hadn't been for that experience, no way I would be here right now, right? So another experience at a seminar, man, just totally game-changing, paradigm shifting for me. I didn't think I had it in me in any way, shape, or form to get up in front of a crowd. So seminars help you get over your fear. So some of you guys, who did I speak to yesterday that said they didn't want to speak? Yeah, I'm going to embarrass you at some point. It gets you out of your box. I mean, this is an amazing environment. And it's just one of those things. So, next lesson. 1 year later, I went to my favorite seminar that I like to attend every single year. It's actually here in DC. It's called the Underground Online Seminar. Out of the last 7 years, I've been 5 times. This is the very first time I went to this seminar. And it was weird because I thought I was like a network marketer more than an internet marketer, and this seminar was for internet marketers. And I didn't know what to expect. It was the most I'd ever paid. It was like $800 for this ticket because it was a second guy ticket to the guy that brought me. But still, that was a lot for this event. I didn't know what to expect. I ended up going in, and man, I ended up meeting people like, who here knows Russell Brunson? Pretty good marketer, right? And so back in those days, that was probably like 2005, I ended up going out to dinner with him. I think we went to the M&S Grill in DC. And same age as me, he wrestled in college, but this guy was already a millionaire. I was like, man, but regular ass person. It was the coolest thing. So what I learned was, if he can do it, I can do it, right? But if I didn't put myself in that environment, I would have had no frame of mind of awareness for that. Someone here, Will was like, man, you're all right? I thought you were gonna be all high and mighty, right? But I'm just a regular stumbling person. I try to be funny sometimes and teach you some stuff. But we're all, if I can do it, you can do it. If anyone can do it, if Lawrence can do it, I can do it, you can do it, he can do it. We can all do it. But you gotta see it, you gotta meet the person. That's what seminars are about. The other thing that seminars are about are two things. Number one, finding mentorship from people that are on the cutting edge, right? I love this marketing thing, and you're gonna see it as I get into a lot of this stuff and really dig into it. And this is what I think about all day, every day. You don't get a chance to, and I'm not bragging on myself or anything, but I don't regularly get a chance to meet and congregate with people that love this crazy marketing stuff as much as I do very often. And when you do, it rubs off. And you go home with new ideas and new epiphanies and new excitement, and your business just automatically grows. So you guys are gonna experience that from this event. And you're gonna find mentors. You're gonna find people. I remember at that very first event, I told you guys that I spent $10,000 with this guy. 2 lessons there. Giving a person $10,000 for one day, insane the first time you do it, right? Because there's nobody you can go to and say, is this the right decision? You know, yeah. No one's gonna say that's the right thing to do. But I've made that decision now several times, and it's always been the right decision. And the most important part about those sorts of decisions is they only come really in a seminar environment. And when they do come, every time that you, so I kind of did you guys a disservice by making this a $200 event and a $100 event for maximum leverage people. But every time you spend good money, like at a high level where it's a little bit hard for you to reach, man, it's a recommitment for you and your dedication towards what you're doing. It makes you say, man, if I'm gonna spend this kind of money on me, I must really care. I'm going to be successful, you know what I mean? And so that's also what seminars open you up to. It gives you the chance to go through that whole emotional roller coaster of, am I crazy? You know what I mean? And then when you actually do undergo those sort of experiences, I mean, I can't tell you how valuable, like, that first $10,000 has turned into several million. Was it worth it? Yeah? Yeah. So seminars are absolutely amazing. So that's why I want you guys to get so much out of this. Now, before I go in and I talk a little bit about mindset, tell me about what are we looking at in terms of time? It's 9:17. Okay, cool. 9:17, cool. So the way we're gonna run this, by the way, which I didn't tell you guys yet, is we're gonna do 1.5-hour sessions. 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. I didn't talk to you about my good friend Myron Golden in the back here, who, without him, we wouldn't have this event. I pride myself on being a pretty astute direct response marketer on the internet. This man back here is an absolute genius when it comes to what I'm doing right now. When he gets up here, it will be clearly apparent. He's gonna blow you guys' minds. So we met a couple months ago, and he said, Daegan, you gotta do an event. I was like, I don't know, man. He started talking to me about some of the stuff that he teaches people in these events and how he does it, and it just blew my mind. I was like, all right, I gotta do this. So we're gonna go 1.5-hour sessions. Today, this first session is me just getting comfortable with you guys getting comfortable with me, talking about some mindset stuff. We're gonna take a 15-minute break. Then Myron's gonna come up and amaze you. Then this afternoon, we'll have an 1.5-hour lunch break, and then so you guys can go wherever you wanna go. And then this afternoon, we're gonna do 2 sessions. We're gonna go through creation of offers. So I'm gonna tell you some stories, I'm gonna draw you some pictures, and I'm going to show you some stuff online in terms of offers. Then I got a fun activity you guys are gonna love. Then we're gonna talk about creating funnels. We'll end today. Tomorrow, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna go over entertaining the crowd, emails, all that sort of stuff, storytelling, one of my favorite subjects today, as far as marketing is concerned. So how many of you guys here read my emails, by the way? Are my emails the most grammatically incorrect emails you have ever read? But you're still here, right? So you don't have to have like amazing grammar to be here, but you have to be at least interesting. Are my emails different than other people's, right? There might be something cool every now and then that's not just bye. But there are periods of bye. But So I want to teach you guys some of the methodology behind that, and hopefully you can do it with a little bit better grammar and spelling than me. You know, I majored in biology and had a minor in chemistry. I stayed away from the writing. Ironically, is what I do every day, right? So we're going to talk about storytelling. Myron's going to talk about speaking, and he's going to talk about maybe a little bit of investing tomorrow. And then I'm going to end it off with the one ring to rule them all. Okay. So does that sound like a plan? Yeah. Cool. All right, so let's use the rest of this time to talk about mindset. Mindset is the most important thing as far as being an entrepreneur is concerned. And the way that I want to do this is, like, I have all sorts of stuff that I've prepared and drawn out, and 50% want to go through with you. But what I really think might be better is if you guys can just ask me the questions when it comes to mindset that you want to ask, that are important for you to ask, and for me to answer them. Because when it comes to mindset, here's what happens. Some people succeed, some people grow the right mindset for success, and some people don't, right? That's it. And there's certain traits in that mindset that matter. Like one trait that, let me go through a few traits and we'll go to questions. One thing that matters is the ability to move fast. If you spot a good idea and you move fast, you will make money. One thing that young Jonathan has above all of my other students is by the time he's told me his idea, he's like, I think this is a good idea. I think I'm going to do something. Literally the next day, he's got a full-blown launch going. He moves fast, okay? So speed is money like speed. It's one of those things. You've heard that before, right? Another thing that the most successful people that I know believe in is they love to sell, which is completely at odds with what most people think. Most people are like, how can I do this without selling? But I've found if you can find a way to help yourself fall in love with the concept of persuading, creating an offer. I mean, part of it is creating an offer, and we're going to get that, because you got to be excited. I mean, I have a couple things I'm going to offer you guys, and I'm excited as hell to offer them to you, right? So you got to be excited if you want to persuade anyway. But pound for pound, those folks that make the most money love selling the most. So you got to ask yourself, these are important questions. How can I fall in love with selling, right? Another thing is, the most successful people that I know hold no assumptions. One of the most detrimental things that you can do is to assume a certain result in a subjective environment. And so that's what we all do for a certain period of time with our marketing. Who was I talking to? I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to yesterday. I do remember, I just have to see her face. Who was I talking to? They did 3 applications. They had 300 leads and had 3 applications from their 300 leads. Who was I speaking to? There we go. Yeah, Alan. So Alan said, Daegan, I'm trying to do this thing, but the sales just aren't coming. And I said, well, tell me your numbers. And he was like, well, I've got about 300 leads so far on this campaign, and we've got 3 sales. And I was like, that sounds about right. But he probably when you did this, you were assuming you can't sell, that this is not how these numbers should look. So in order to succeed, and you probably felt bad and your emotions got into it, like, I'm not good at this, and why isn't this working for me? These other guys have magic and I don't have magic, and all that sort of stuff. The most successful people that I know is when they do something, I don't care what I'm doing. I mean, for this event, I'm just excited to be here, but I hold no assumptions as to what will happen. I just want to see what happens. You do things, and then you interpret the results. You don't assume anything. I don't ever send out an ad and say, I assume this ad is going to make me $1,000 because I spent $1,000 on it. Past experience have shown this after I've had some past experiences, but let's see what happens. What can I do to make it better? And if you will let go of the assumptions and you will just be curious about situations, and you will ask questions as to, I wonder why it happened like that. What do I think made that happen that way? you will find new breakthroughs all over the place. That's why I love what I do. Like literally in school, I was kind of like a scientist, right? I was in the lab doing organic chemistry and weird stuff. And marketing is like a lab. Because if you sit back and you let go of the assumptions and you just kind of take in things objectively and play with these variables, go.
How do you balance having no assumptions with setting goals?
Okay, that's a good question. So, I think everyone's different, but here's the way that I live my life, and it works pretty good for me, is I live first, so actually this is a good image to draw. Very good question. I just want to get this one right. Yeah, I like that one. So, make sure I get this right. Okay, I'll repeat it. How do you balance letting go of assumptions with goal setting? So, in my opinion, goal setting should be on the desire to be happy in your life, right? So, I want to do things because I believe that they're going to increase my happiness in one way, one area or another. And so, but that's the opposite of where most people work from. Where most people set their goals based on is they say to themselves, when I get to X amount of dollars, I'll be happy, right? I used to think this way, man. I busted my ass trying to get over $1 million per year because I thought when I get over $1 million per year, I'm gonna be happier. I was more stressed out than ever. I used to smoke a pack of Newports every single day because I was stressed the hell out. Making $1 million a year, smoking a pack of Newports every single day. Would you believe it? Right? So, this took me a long time to figure out for me, but I slowly figured out how to fix this. So most people go like this. If we're looking at this picture, most people go, this is a work, that's an act, so work, they'll go, work, acts, then I'm happy, right? But what I started to do was I started to say, what makes me happy every day? How can I do more of that? And then that started to bring me gold. So I wake up every day and I say to myself, and sometimes I journal. Journaling is a really cool thing when it comes to mindset, and I'll talk about that a little bit in just a second. But if I wake up every single morning and I say to myself, man, what is it that I really love to do in my business? How can I do more of that? People ask me, Daegan, how do you do all the stuff that you do and interact with your family, with the Inner Circle family on Facebook so much? It's not a question of like what's most profitable or what I should be doing. I do it because I like it. It makes me happy. So if we work from that mindset, then goal setting is in natural alignment with you. What's the right way to say this? If you're happy already, you're already there. So what you're doing every day is just a manifestation of that happiness. And so therefore, you attract even more. If I sit up here and I'm just having fun, right? But I'm not like, I need to work and be better. If I'm having fun, you guys are gonna like me more. If I'm just me, and I don't mind talking about the fact that I had man boob surgery, that I used to smoke a pack of Newports every single day. That makes me more normal, right? It makes me like more real. So that's the answer. Does that make sense to you? Is that good for you? Yeah? Cool. So just ask that question. In my business, what do I really love to do? How can I do more of it? Man, it'll be so much more fun. And you'll make more. Good question. Corner. Yes, sir.
You mentioned about this actually helps them build mindset. When you're at a seminar to find mentors, develop relationships or mentorship,
Yeah.
how do you go about doing that with anyone?
Well, some of those things come out over time. I know for me, just like I told you that the little short fat bald guy that was sweating and pointing at pictures of horses, I was like, my ears was like, my eyes were like, you just feel it, you know. Same thing happened at the underground online seminar when I decided to give this guy named John $10,000 and insanely did it. He got up on stage and everything made so much sense to me. What he taught me was the way he did email marketing. That doubled my business, but it made so much sense to me that I just wanted to invest more with him. I knew that if I did, it would be a good decision. So from a mentorship standpoint, I go with the intuition, with the feeling. In terms of relationships, when you come, this is a special group of people right now. I mean, we're a couple weeks away from Christmas and the holiday season, and you guys, I am humbled, proud, excited, just want to do the best I can for y'all because you committed to being here with me. You know what I mean? This is a very special group of people. So you meet people. Now I've learned to be more outgoing, I think, but I'm not the most outgoing person in general. I basically just want to sit on the couch and watch 3D DVDs and, click the email. Did I make any more money? That's basically what I want to do all day. I don't even know where I was going with that at this point. So that was a good one on that. So let me see if there's anything else that's really good based on what I got here. Yeah, here's another good one. I'll draw it if necessary. But what new people tend to try to do is they try to work from the standpoint of, I want to get, right? I want to get to $300 a day, right? When you become successful, you work from the standpoint of, how do I attract? So if you stop saying, how do I get people to buy more stuff from me? How do I get people to join my business? And you start saying, how do I attract the people that should be in my business anyway? You're working in a natural way with nature in and of itself. And I have this pretty picture. I'll show you guys. I won't redraw it. But you see, I got this pretty picture. There's a flower, butterfly. Butterfly wants to fly to the flower. That's attract. And then there's a net trying to catch it. Butterfly's flying away. So, makes sense, right? It would have been powerful if I drew it, but I didn't. All right. Oh, I didn't show it to you. I can draw it. I'm just. Which one is it? It is that one. This is how I take notes. This is kind of crazy, huh? I'm telling you, I sat in Barnes and Nobles for 4 or 5 days, 7 hours a day, doodling, so I could have some doodles for y'all. That's crazy. But I had the time to do it, you know? So why not? Let's see what else I got here. Yes?
I don't think I understand the difference. When you say the get track.
So get is trying to control. How do I get people to do this? How do I get you to give me $1? How do I make you want to give me $1? Right? If I want to get $1 from you, I might walk over, grab your arms, try to pull it out of your pocket. Or I might try to say, you better give me $1. But if I say yeah, if I pull out, I don't know what I got. I don't really have anything in my pocket. But if I say, hey, I'll trade $1, would you trade?
Yes.
All right. I just subtracted your $1. Now, I didn't make a good deal there, but for demonstration, you get it now, though? Yeah. So that's an irresistible offer, though. 10-to-1 ratio, right? Huh? So another thing that is really important when it comes to mindset is successful people, this will change the game for everyone. So successful people lean into their fear, right? They go, what's the thing that I feel the most weirded out about? And they just go and do that. That's another thing that young John has for him. He basically, the way he lives his life, to a greater degree than me, I'm a little bit slower than him on this. So It's just cool to see the differences. If there's something he fears, that's a big mountain, like, I don't think I could ever do that. That's the exact thing he tries to do. And if you look at people who approach life that way, what happens? They grow. They get bigger. They get better. But what our natural instinct is to kind of run and be safe and feel good right now. If you do the opposite, if you can grit your teeth and do the opposite, you're going to be successful. Okay, so that's a good one. What's one more good one that I've noticed that? So all these things turn that little point at the pyramid into what's the hardest metal or rock? Diamond, like a diamond point. Adamantium. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Good little Wolverine in there. Successful people do one thing at a time. Non-successful people try to do everything at the same time. And now go ahead. Are you saying it's you? Yeah, no, it's me too sometimes. The problem with that is there are these things called loops. So have you guys ever seen the TV? And we're going to talk about this more when we talk about storytelling and entertaining. One of my favorite shows is Heroes. And in Heroes, if you watch the first episode, you have to watch the whole freaking thing. Because there's so many what are called open loops. What's going to happen next situations that you have to watch. And I got to come back down here and hang out with you guys. I've been up in the front too much. You have to watch that next episode. Does that make sense? And so what that is that's internal stress. Cedric, good to see you, man. Happy to have you here. That's internal stress that makes you do something. Now, I was journaling one day when I thought about some of the things I had going on in my own head, and I realized that when I try to give myself like 20 things to do, what am I doing but creating 20 different open loops that are pulling me in different directions all at the same time? No way I can work effectively when I'm literally pulling myself in 20 different directions at the same time. So on a daily basis, for me in that little notebook, I might have one thing that's the most important. The rest of the stuff is, well, whatever, I'll get to it later. One thing at a time. Make sense? Make sense? Do you guys like it better when I draw or when I just walk around? Or both? Both? You like walking around? Who likes walking around? Who likes drawing? All right, that's good. Yes?
Did you get open loops from David Allen? Did you read his book?
Which is David Allen's book? What's it called?
Getting Things Done.
Oh, no.
It's all about open loops. You can get it from the library, how to process those.
There's a guy named Kevin Hogan who, kevinhogan.com, does a lot of NLP stuff. And if you search YouTube, he has a video about how shows like Lost and Heroes create these open loops. So what they'll do, and it's really cool, is they'll go they'll open one loop, the story will progress, so that's just like open. The story will progress, they'll open another loop, and the story will keep moving. Then they'll open like a third loop, and they'll close it, so let's call that closed, right? And the story will keep moving, and they'll close that loop. And then right before the show ends, they'll open one more loop, and so you'll have this loop and this loop still open, but they closed a couple so you feel like you had some closure going on. And so if I can teach you guys to do that with storytelling, people are gonna be like, I gotta read that email. They won't even know why. But that's why that stuff works. That's why Heroes works. Does that make sense? It's not a very good drawing, but yeah? Okay. Cool, what?
A question, when you're talking about the focus thing is what I'm getting from this. If you're trying to combine the internet marketing with network marketing, is that having too many things going on? Should you just focus on the internet part of it? I'm a little confused by that explanation as to having too many things open.
Okay. So, give me an example of what you mean by that. In your life, tell me what you're thinking about.
Okay, in my life, I'm wanting to use the internet to drive traffic so that I can grow my network marketing business, but I also have products as well. So I have an internet marketing business, but I also want to use traffic to build that other side as well. Is that too many things going on?
Yep. One focal point. So you want to know how I made, so good book, another good book, Ready, Fire, Aim. Want to know how I made my first $1 million in a year was I took one product, turned it into a ridiculously good offer, and everything else happened afterwards. So I threw all the leads I got at this one product, and I just sold it, and all the other stuff happened after. I still had weeks where I recruited, you know. I think the best week that when I was recruiting and team building and I was doing that stuff pretty hard, weeks where I recruited like 15,000 people into a pre-launch process. Other weeks where I use some of the storytelling stuff, and if we have time, I'll get into it in terms of using it to recruit and have fun like that. To bring in 100 people, $500 each, frontline, and a couple days, 2.5 days or so. But primarily, everything was happening on the front end. So one focal point, because here's the thing that we'll get to later, but hopefully this makes sense. There's one thing you can do that will make your prospects 10 times, 8 to 10 times more responsive. It's not to focus on recruiting them, it's to sell them something. As soon as they become a customer, they become 10 times more responsive and more likely to buy. And the way that I found this out was when I was doing those big recruiting pushes, and I went back and I looked at who was joining my businesses. 10 to 1, it was the people that were my customers, right? In this room right now, who is in the Maximum Leverage Inner Circle? Raise your hand. All right, see? There we go. One focus, one point. So
that one focus drives to the other thing.
Exactly, exactly. Good stuff? All right. Yes, ma'am.
You wade through all the information that comes in. You start with SEO or maximum leverage.
Leverage. What's going to give me the most leverage? So we all choose the sort of business and the lifestyle that we want. And I like running a lean, mean machine. I don't like having like 20 people on my staff or doing all these different things. So I ask myself, what are the things that are going to give me the most leverage in my business? And those are the things that I focus on. For me, things like SEO are not all that important for me to do right now. There's lots more important things. So it goes directly into focus. What's most important for the way that you want to build your business? And that comes from experiencing. You know one thing that, very good question, by the way. High five it up. Bang. I like that. One thing that successful people do better than non-successful people, that I've realized, and I'm just looking for something, and I think I have it down here, I'll pull it out in a second, is successful people have no problem failing. You know? And regular folks feel really bad when they fail. Oh man, that didn't work. But if you go back, and so one thing I do want to leave you guys with is this process of journaling. So I'll map that out a little bit before we move on. But if you will look back, and I did this when I would journal, and I'd look back on the things that were my biggest failures in life, or what I would consider to be my biggest failures. They were also the seeds to my greatest success. So now I don't just say, what can I do that's going to make me happy today? I say, well, if I fail, how can I fail harder? How can I fail bigger? Because let me give you an example. When I was in high school and I was a wrestler, I lost a couple matches that I shouldn't have lost. And so for me, that was a huge blow to my pride. And I let it be such a big blow that I had a passion for wrestling. I loved this sport, that it kind of took me out of it. It like hurt me like a girlfriend had broken my heart. You know, she had cheated on me or something. I didn't want to talk to her no more, so I didn't want to wrestle no more. When I got to college by about sophomore year and I was still wrestling, I realized that the biggest mistake in the world was for me to let those few losses affect me that badly. Because at that point, I couldn't rekindle my excitement for wrestling in the same way that I had had it in high school. But I vowed to myself, once I like fell in love with something the way that I did with wrestling, I would never let anything deter it. So when I found the internet and the little short guy was talking to me on the stage, that same feeling came into me. And from that failure earlier in life, I knew that I didn't care what happened. I could go bankrupt 85 times, and I would still keep on trying. So if you're willing to fail, you're going to end up making yourself better in some very personal ways. But you got to take your ego out of it. You know what I mean? Like, just go ahead and fail. I mean, it's not going to hurt. It's not really going to hurt, right? And I remember I would call people on the phone. I failed at calling people on the phone. What did it do? Now we're here. The king of never calling a single lead. I'm still going to recruit people. I failed. Let me figure it out a different way. So go ahead and fail. Fail hard. Fail often. Fail big. Are you guys digging this stuff? Am I talking too much? All right, so here's what are we looking like on time? 9:45. So here's what I want to do. So this was my coffee table book. I'd like to give it away as a prize before we go on our first break. And the way that I'd like to give it away as a prize is for someone to come up here and share not what their biggest success was this year, but their biggest failure. Because the more you fail, the more you succeed. And so the first person to come up and share a failure wins Fail Harder. So don't all rush. Go.
All right, so it was actually when I was living in Thailand, I had this brilliant idea to create a social networking site.
Yeah, I saw that site too. I check up on my students. I want to see what people are up to.
So I thought it was a great idea to create a community of people, and I think there's great value in having a community. It's called the Bucket List Network. So I had this idea, and it was like an epiphany, and then like just laser focus. Pretty much stopped doing what I was doing and just started focusing on this idea. Got to make this work. Like this Bucket List Network, it could be huge. Like who doesn't have goals? Who doesn't have dreams? Then it just then the programming and the money and the money and the money.
Yeah.
It just became this black hole of time and money. And I just had to come to terms with this thing is not, with no proven revenue model behind it. It's like, geez, I gotta do something else here. And
what'd you learn?
It gets worse.
All right, keep it going.
I actually, I think it was a number of months back, maybe 7 months ago. I was transferring the servers, this and that, and I deleted. I thought I was working on the old server, I was working on the new server, and I deleted everything.
So everything was gone.
Yeah, so it was like, with the
So what happened next? See, so we want to go to storytelling, so give me a second. And see, I'm throwing all this stuff in, because how do you deal with all the ideas, right? They're all in there. So you take it all in and you use it when necessary. But if you really want to rivet a person, you do what he just did, everything was going good, I moved to Thailand, he didn't tell that part of it, and I was living life, boom, 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 things were getting great. And then I had this great idea and things got even better. And then everything got horrible. And when you do that, you go steep good, steep really bad. People gotta know. They gotta know what happened next. So, great tool for storytelling, keeping people's interest. You guys like that? Cool. All right, what happened next?
What happened next? I really sat down and refocused. I was forced to think, okay, well, what do I know? And I've been following Daegan for 4 or 5 years now. And just got back to work and actually have had my biggest months in a very short time, simply because I went back to work and focused on what I knew would produce results. So yeah, and it's going to keep getting better. I have plans to move to Australia and it's all this good stuff.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a good experience. Even working with a few clients, like having just the things that you learn, like going through that process of even working with programmers and outsourcing and things like that, just experiences you can't just learn through reading or hearing about it. It's like you just have to experience. So it's just that experience, regardless, is invaluable.
Awesome, man. I dig it. Focus. Failure brings focus, man. It really does.
All right.
Fail harder, my friend. Fail harder. So I have a lot of other things I could go into in terms of all this sort of stuff. Let me give you guys one last little point here that I think is important. And I want to draw this correctly. So if you will give me a moment to pull the right picture for you. So I call this like the stair step to a good idea, the stair step to success. Because basically what we have to do if we want to have the right mindset is we have to grow the amount of confidence to see a good idea and then to be willing to take action on it regardless of whether or not it succeeds. We start with a little bit of curiosity. So we're down here and we might have some curiosity and then we'll get excited and then our imagination will start to run wild. And then we'll try it, we'll face some challenges, we'll get frustrated, and it's right there at that point where you're either going to succeed or fail, right? And so if you face some challenges and then decide to focus, plan, take some actions and get some feedback, get some results, what happens is that defines, that's like what I would call the passion line. If you hit a frustration, you're just like, that was too hard. Let me try something else. That's like, you guys know Earl Nightingale? Who here's heard of Earl Nightingale? Remember he had that quote where he was talking about, the young people that wanted things too easy, and he said the problem is they want the fire before they build before they bring the wood. That's this person. The person gets here and then falls back down. Like, man, can't you just give me the fire? But if you get here, this is where you start to go collect the wood, put it in a pile, get the kindling, and light off the catalyst, and bang, you got a fire. And then the cool thing here is, once you start to do that process, it becomes a self-fulfilling positive reinforcement cycle where you just keep getting better. The fire keeps growing stronger. And so that's the only difference between successful people and people that are sort of habitual failures, is they get to this passion line, define it for themselves, and they keep playing up here. I don't care if I fail, I'm just gonna get feedback and keep going and over. And each time you do that, you learn a lesson. You get sharper, you go from a rock and keep going this cycle and you get pretty sharp. So whatever we're doing, we gotta get past that line of frustration, decide to focus, go collect the wood, right? Put it in one spot. Maybe it doesn't matter if the wood's all over the place. Go get that log over there and the one over there. Bring it all, put it in the right spot. Start the fire. Don't run up to each log and try to light it, right? And so that's how we get to the ideas that actually work. For me, for everyone, there's this place, and then we do some stuff. We probably fail a bunch, but we learn, and then eventually, bang, we get it right? So how do we play up here? That's what I want you guys to think about. How can you start to focus, plan, take action, get results, learn something, and then do it over and over again? The more you can do that, the stronger you get, and the more good ideas you're gonna have. And that's the key of the proper mindset, in my opinion, for entrepreneurial success. Is it's all just feedback. It's all just data. Yes, ma'am?
The E and the L, what do they stand for? Here, down in the circle.
Down here?
Down.
Oh, down here?
Here.
Learn, F, focus, plan, action, result, learn. So feedback or learn, focus, plan. So what am I doing? I'm split testing stuff all the time. Oh, looks like when I put a testimonial before my sales video, that increases the amount of money that people are willing to spend with me. I wonder what type of testimonial is the best type of testimonial. Let me test that now. And so all I'm doing is getting better and playing here over and over and over again. And all of a sudden I know all this stuff and I'm doing all these things that the next guy can't even fathom because he's like, this is too hard. Can't you just make the game easier? You know? So was that worthwhile for me to draw that? Good. So last thing I want to do before we go to break is just give me a few insights you guys got from all this. Raise your hand. Let's go to the back. Michelle.
I mean, for me, that drawing right there is something that I can't see. Is something that, you know, I think I struggle with just because I've had success very quickly.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time sometimes communicating with people that are working with me on, you know, I know how I got there, and my biggest thing is when I hit that obstacle, I pushed through it. I had a lot of passion. I was very clear on my why. I had a lot of clarity, so I was able to get through it because I know from experience that as soon as it gets really, really bad, I know on the other side that's when I get the most success.
Awesome.
Pushing through. So that really,
Yeah.
into a picture like that for me, it was significant to me because it's going to be able to help me be able to explain that even better to people. Because I feel like they quite grasp what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. That really helped.
This visual stuff is powerful. So here's what you do. There's a book called I'll get the name of it later, but we naturally want to think in images, but we really, for the most part, are always writing something or talking. And if we can apply kind of these sort of spatial imagery things to what we do when we're trying to solve a problem, we ask where, and then we draw where, when, and then we draw when, how, and then we draw the process for how. Two things are going to happen. We're going to see things we didn't see before. We're going to get more clear individually on that process or the answer to that question. And if we ever want to share it, clear for me to do some of this than for me to just kind of sit here and talk and say it. So I'll get the book, but it's one of those books where it's like $20, and it's so worth it from a personal standpoint and all of us as trainers, teachers on some level to play with. So, yeah, thank you for that. So one more, and then we'll go. Are you guys having fun? Do you want to keep this going, or do you want to stop? Keep it going? All right, let's go over here. And then we'll come to you, and then we'll go to you.
One of the most profound points that you brought out for me was to not hold any assumptions and then just see what happens. Because a lot of times in my business, I'll have a lot of good ideas that I want to implement, but then I'll also try to foresee or predict the results. And if I feel like the risk is too great or that the result will not be beneficial enough, then I won't even implement that idea. So, you know, not holding assumptions, I'm just going to let loose with my ideas now and see what happens.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's one of the things that, go ahead.
You mentioned about split testing, and it's almost a human nature for us as children to process that way. But as we get older, like you were saying, we assume what I'm getting from this crawl, walk, run theory is basic, but we get away from it. And it takes us places where we shouldn't be at the time of where we at. We might be at a crawl state and need to be intaking from that aspect. And because of that, we're not able to really help diagnose another person because we're not going through the proper sequence of the nature of the business or the circumstance.
Yeah.
And I'm getting that from this, and especially the drawing. The confirmation on the drawings for me is that you got to stick to the basics.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's a simple process. So the only reason I'm up here is because I know how to build a funnel and do the things in the right process so that I can build businesses fast. And y'all think I'm cool for that because I've failed enough to figure out how to do it right. But to me, inside of me, it's not really that complex. Now, did I do a lot? Did I spend a lot? Did I ask myself a lot of questions? Yeah, but at the end of the day, if I can insert just a few of the ideas into you can do it. So it's not really, it's a very good point.
Sean, yeah, I think my biggest kind of thing that came out of this is in failure. There's really no failure. There's only questions and dig deeper.
Yeah.
So I do marketing. put out some stuff out there. If I'm not profitable, I'm thinking, well, that's what watch me try something else. But what I'm getting from you is, why did it fail? That's the deeper question on testimony things. And I think that's the biggest thing that I got out of it.
Yeah. And so back to the assumption thing and the failure thing is they go together in that when we want to make assumptions, I'm not messing with him because you don't arm wrestle this man. Do not arm wrestle this man. He would, strongest dude I ever seen in my life. So the assumption thing and the failure thing go together because when we make assumptions, that's an emotional thing. It's a hope. I hope it works this way, right? And so what that does is it makes our vision, our focus, very myopic. We only are looking for that result. If it's not that result, then we're frustrated and even more emotional and negative. If we just let that go and go into things without the assumption and objectively, if we fail or succeed, we still see things that we don't see if we make assumptions. Does that make sense? Okay, so we want to it's not easy. It's not how we work. Yes, ma'am?
No, nothing. I'm just keeping track of the time.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, we're having fun. We're flowing with it. Oh, no. Ed.
One of the biggest things for me is the idea about successful people fail. And for me, I've been hoping that I could get as much material on learning how to do something. Instead of ready, fire, aim, I'm aiming and firing, and spending a lot of time on learning things. Learning how, because I'm new at internet marketing.
Yeah.
And trying to learn it, but I'm not spending any time in actually processing it.
Yeah. You and your results are your best teacher. And I overteach myself far more than probably anyone in this room. Some of the best things, and that's a huge insight. We haven't been giving each other hands. If you follow that thought to its conclusion and start to act on it, I think you'll be pretty amazed by what happens.
I want to spend as much money as I can and trying to get as much as I can from the experts, but if I'm not really applying, it's basically a waste of money.
So that brings us to this whole thing of journaling, and then I'm done with y'all. Okay. So this idea of journaling is great for exactly that because it forces you to, if I give you a good idea, I'm translating it through my language patterns and what makes the most sense for me. But if you go back to your room tonight and you take your insights and you journal about them and you ask yourself, well, why does that make sense? Why did I feel that way about that when he said this? What didn't I understand? Why didn't I understand it? How can I make this right for me? What will this do for me? How can I make best use of this in my business? And you just play with those ideas like that. You will eventually come to some version of that idea that's entirely your own. And when it's your own, you can make much greater use of it. It's the difference between me quoting someone and me understanding implicitly for myself. And that's where we want to get. So that's what, if you guys will, pinzoo.com is just a free journaling site that I use. Give it a shot. I do this thing every now and then. I did it a while ago, like a 30-day journaling challenge. Did you do it with me? I did. You didn't? Who here did the 30-day journaling challenge? Lisa did it. Lisa and Lisa, good. You guys did it with me, awesome. How cool was that? I mean, you sit there, you really do get a lot more clear on what's going on with you. So this little website called Pinzoo, PENZU.com, is a free platform, just what I use when I want to journal. And I have a little group, if you guys want to join it. The whole point is just to go in and journal in a consistent daily habit, and you come out with so much more clarity on your own ideas. You take so much more action and ownership for what you're going to do. It's one of the most powerful things I could urge you guys to do, and just test as a try. Don't assume anything about it, just give it a shot. And try it for 30 days, just see what happens. Every day, ask yourself a question and just play it all the way out. It's good for that. It's also good for, remember, I talked about those things called open loops. And when you journal and you do it consistently, you will find that you have these thoughts in your head that are sometimes recurring. Like maybe like there's an emotional thing to, I'm trying to think what was one thing for me. I always want to check my email. That's one thing. I'd always be like, oh, I got to check my email for this. That is not really me. That's just like some little pattern, some little like positive reinforcement thing my brain wants to do to me because it makes it happy on a daily basis. And so, but I think it's me, and I realize I think it's me because if I don't check my email first thing in the morning and I leave it till whenever, then my mind will start saying, oh yeah, but remember you got that email that you got to respond to immediately, so you got to go check your email right now. The farther I can pull myself away from those thoughts, the more efficient, the more focused I can be in my own life. And we all have these little like brain farts we don't see until we journal in one direction or think in one direction and put it out there, and then see how our mind kind of reacts and pulls us in the same directions habitually. That's something that we want to deal with and say, well, why is this here? Do I want to keep it in my life, or is it something I want to like try to remove? And then you can start testing it, split testing it, right? How can I get rid of looking at my email 50 times a day? Maybe if I go to the gym first, maybe if I whatever, you know what I mean? So give journaling a chance. One more and then we'll stop. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to, my takeaway was doing what you love. You said that, get up in the morning, what do I love doing?
Yeah.
And, I'm in many things, but when I think about it, what I love is parenting, like teaching people how to be good parents. And so I'm thinking, being a parent, there's so many aspects of being a parent and how all that can be put into a funnel. And, it's kind of focus on that one thing.
Yeah.
All these other things.
Awesome. And when you have that one thing, it brings it all into clarity. Awesome. I like it. Very good. Very good. All right, guys. We're going to do a break. What I'm going to have Kim do in a little bit, though, is I'm going to have her bring the order forms for the recordings of this event. I think one of the biggest things I fear for you guys is to miss something that was important. And our notes only get us so far. You're going to look back at these drawings and be like, what was that again? But if you have the recordings, then you will have this experience for the rest of your life. And seminar recordings for me I've got lots and lots of them, and they're very valuable. So this is the first ever, the most historic of all maximum leverage events. And I want you guys to take that home with you. Do we have them yet or no? Okay. So who here would like me to get you one of those whenever Kim does something? All right, cool. $18,000. We got a 3-time Emmy Award-winning TV editor, sports editor back here, man. He's got to get paid somehow. No, it won't be $18,000, I promise. Yeah. So we'll be looking out for that when we get them. But for right now, I had a lot of fun getting. Was this a good start? Yeah, I feel comfortable. I feel like we know each other and all that. Good. Break. Ready? Break.